You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Tuesday, the 1st of July. Jaishankar rips into terror tolerance logic, says India won't fall for nuclear blackmail. Pakistan urges resumption of Indus Waters treaty amid India's tough stance. And Dalai Lama says there will be framework to talk about his succession. And now for all the details. India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, who is currently on a visit to the US, in an interview to a US weekly, hailed bilateral ties with Washington. Jaishankar used the financial term trend lines to emphasize that the ties between India and the US at the end of every presidency, spread over a span of past 5 US presidents, have been better than they were at the beginning of the presidency. His remarks came as the US-India trade deal is being finalized in the White House. Jaishankar on Monday inaugurated an exhibition at the United Nations on the topic, "The Human Cost of Terrorism," brought attention to how terrorism is a grave threat to humanity and how the world must come together to deal with it and stand against issues such as impunity to terrorists and not yielding to nuclear blackmail. He also reminded how the UN Security Council had issued a strong condemnation of the deadly Pahalgam terror attack, which took place on April 22nd in Jammu and Kashmir. Jaishankar was scheduled to take part in the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting on Tuesday.
Terrorism is one of the gravest threats to humanity. It is the antithesis of everything that the UN stands for: human rights, rules and norms, and how nations should conduct their dealings with each other. When terrorism is supported by a state against a neighbor, when it is fueled by the bigotry of extremism, when it drives a whole host of illegal activities, it is imperative to call it out publicly. And one way of doing so is to display the havoc that it has wreaked on global society.
Moving on. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi marked 10 years of the Digital India initiative on Tuesday with a reflective blog on LinkedIn titled "A Decade of Digital India." PM Modi said the mission has turned India into a global tech leader, bridging the digital divide and transforming lives. Since 2014, internet connections have jumped from 25 to 97 crore and over 42 lakh kilometers of fiber optic cable now connect even remote villages. Platforms like UPI, DBT and DigiLocker have saved over 3.48 lakh crore rupees in leakages and delivered 44 lakh crore rupees directly to citizens, he said. He further highlighted India's digital public infrastructure from Aadhaar to CoWIN has gained global recognition. The Prime Minister also praised India's booming startup ecosystem, now among the world's top 3, as he called for innovation-led growth through AI and digital public platforms. Pakistan on Monday urged India to resume the normal functioning of the Indus Waters Treaty as New Delhi has continued to hold it in abeyance following the Pahalgam terror attack. In a post on X, Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, while mentioning the Permanent Court of Arbitration's decision that the treaty remains valid and operational, said that both the states are measured by their adherence to international agreements and that the Indus Waters Treaty must be upheld in both letter and spirit. Earlier on June 27, India's Foreign Ministry strongly rejected the ruling, stating that it has never recognized the so-called framework for dispute resolution with Pakistan. The statement further noted that following the Pahalgam terrorist attack, India has an exercise of its rights as a sovereign nation under international law, placed the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance until Pakistan credibly and irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. India said that no court of arbitration, much less this illegally constituted arbitral body, which has no existence in the eye of law, has the jurisdiction to examine the legality of India's actions in exercise of its rights as a sovereign. Following the deadly Pahalgam terror attack on 22nd of April, India took a series of punitive measures against Pakistan that put the 1960 treaty in abeyance. And a senior PPP leader from POJK has called out the government for failing to deliver on critical infrastructure and welfare programs in the occupied region, questioning years of unmet promises and budgetary neglect. A report.
In a strong critique of development lapses in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, PPP leader from Muzaffarabad, Shaukat Javed Mir, has questioned the fate of several key infrastructure projects in the region. He highlighted that several proposed road projects, a degree college, and public welfare initiatives are stalled as none of them materialized in the official budget. He also raised concerns over the missing Lipa bypass and other tourism roads. He called for better healthcare in hospitals, an end to exploitative taxes.
वहाँ ब्रथवाल गली का 10 किलोमीटर पुख्तगी का ऐलान वहाँ के मुंतखब मेंबर असेंबली वज़ीर तालीम ने किया, वज़ीर आज़म ने भी गवर्नमेंट डिग्री कॉलेज में कहा किधर है वो दफाई सड़क, वो सियाती सड़क। फिर लीपा बाईपास 4 किलोमीटर सड़क वो किधर गायब हो गई बजट में। और फिर चकमकाम 1 किलोमीटर सड़क, बंडाकुली सियाती 1 किलोमीटर सड़क, अस्पतालों में दवाई मुयसर करें, ये औशरबा फीसें ख़त्म करें, लोगों को रोज़गार मेरिट की बिना पर दें। कि आपकी बैड गवर्नेंस का इंतहा हो चुकी है कि आप 1 साल में सेहत कार्ड शुरू नहीं कर सके और आप आज 1 साल बाद आपने पैसे रखे और जो वेलफेयर फंड के 10 अरब रुपये थे वो आपने मालियाती इदारों के पास रख के उससे कौन मुनाफा कमा रहा है।
POJK has long faced administrative apathy and underfunding. Despite repeated promises, basic infrastructure and services remain inadequate in the occupied region.
Moving on. Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, speaking at the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development in Spain on Monday, called for a fairer global economic and financial system. Representing both Nepal and the least developed countries, Oli highlighted rising inequality, shrinking aid, and mounting debt burdens on LDCs despite global economic growth. He urged developed nations to honor their commitment of allocating 0.7% of their gross national income as aid, with 0.2% earmarked for least developed countries. Calling the newly adopted Sevilla Commitment a turning point, Oli pushed for reforms in equitable trade, a UN-led tax convention, and accessible climate finance. Citing Nepal's upcoming graduation from LDC status in 2026, he emphasized the need for sustained international support. And the Dalai Lama on Monday said there will be a framework to discuss his succession as the Tibetan spiritual leader attended a ceremony ahead of his birthday later this week. Wearing his traditional robes, the 1989 Nobel Peace Laureate walked slowly, assisted by his fellow monks as he arrived to bless devotees at the event. Among those in attendance was Hollywood star Richard Gere, a longtime follower of Tibetan Buddhism. The 14th Dalai Lama will turn 90 on July 6th. In his address in Tibetan language, he said there will be some kind of a framework to continue the institution of Dalai Lamas, but did not elaborate much.
So today is the 90th year of birthday celebration for His Holiness Dalai Lama. We are very, very happy today, and there are many people from around the world. And His Holiness, what he told us today is he'll continue his commitment towards the Tibetans and also for the world peace. So we are very positive and we are overjoyed today.
The Dalai Lama has previously said he could possibly reincarnate in India, where he lives in exile since fleeing Tibet in 1959 after a failed uprising against Chinese rule. China views the Dalai Lama as a separatist and says it will choose his successor. The Dalai Lama has said his successor will be born outside China and urged his followers to reject anyone chosen by Beijing.
There's a joy because of his very presence, but the sadness that we are not we are not able to celebrate this 90th birthday in front of Potala Palace, and that is a bit of a sadness. But of course, this is our wish and prayers, and we will never give it up. And as one of the organizers said, that perhaps when he's 100, or not perhaps, when he's going to be 100, that we are going to celebrate in Tibet in front of Lhasa.
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Till then, good night.